So most of the people who have seen Death Note don't really know about the Los Angeles BB murder case, which, if you paid attention, was mentioned in episode 11 of Death Note. It comes from another series written by Nisio Izen, but supervised by our guys who are the author of the Death Note. So let's speedrun this shit. I mean, let's see what happened. So for context, I'll recap some points so the story makes sense. Quilsh Wammy, or Watari as we know him, is a world-renowned inventor who took in an orphan who's no other than our L. After discovering L's genius, Watari decided to create an orphanage in Winchester, England, specifically for nurturing other gifted children called the Wammy's House. Here's where L and few other gifted orphans lived and were trained to be great minds. L, being L, always was the brightest and would always stay alone with his puzzles and games. L goes out to be the smartest detective in the world. In fact, he was so good he made the second and the third best detectives submit their ranks to him in something called the Detective Wars. Moreover, we see that Watari is already searching for a successor to L, even though he's very young. My guess is that because Watari was getting old, he didn't want that job to be left undone. So the orphanage would end up being a very stressful and terrific environment, where all the children tried to be better than each other to catch up to L, and here's where the first generation of successors come. The best of these children was A, who killed himself as he couldn't take the pressure of being the greatest detective in the world. At the second place, we had B stating backup, who was the second best. But for no apparent reason, he left the orphanage. He wanted to surpass L, but he knew that he couldn't do it. So he tried to make an unsolvable case for L so that he could at least challenge him in some way. And here's where the Los Angeles murder case starts. Remember I said it was an orphanage for gifted children. Strangely enough, B's gift was that he had the Shinigami eyes. Yes, the same as the Death Note, but he didn't have a book, so he only could see when people would die, but couldn't do anything about it. Because in this world, without the external interference, like the Death Note or a Shinigami himself, no one can change the date and time of when a person's going to die. They'll die at their time. Hence the name for him, Beyond Birthday, as he could see beyond a person's birthday. After going through the case, L takes it on immediately, as it was by all means looking impossible to solve and could be deemed as the difficulty level of L. L appoints Naomi Misora to investigate with him in this case, as she was exceptionally good with her job as an FBI agent who was suspended because she didn't have the conviction to shoot a child, is now working with the greatest mind in the world. The case begins on July 22, 2002. When the LAPD receives a crossword puzzle, which Naomi solves to reveal the first crime scene's address. The murders occur as follows. July 31st, 2002. Believe bridesmaid, 44 Hollywood. The first victim, strangled in a locked room, is found with 4 straw voodoo dolls nailed to the walls, excluding the door's wall. Post-mortem cuts on his chest form Roman numerals, and missing manga volumes from the bookshelf lead to a coded message in another book, spelling out Quarter Queen as the next victim. The date and victim initials BB reflect B's signature, tied to the kanji for B. August 4th, 2002. Quarter Queen, 13 downtown LA. 4 days later, the second victim, a teenage girl, is bludgeoned with a hammer, her eyes crushed and contact lenses removed, with glasses placed post-mortem. 3 straw voodoo dolls are found, continuing the countdown. The room is locked, with clues like stripped fingernail polish on one hand and lipstick smudges forming coordinates pointing to backyard bottom slash. The date interval is 4 days, showing a sequence from the prior murder, and initials, QQ, mirroring BB, align with B's pattern. The glasses' fingerprints, oddly placed, suggest staging. August 13th, 2002. Backyard bottom slash, 26 West LA. 9 days after the second murder, the third victim is slashed with a knife in another locked room with 2 straw voodoo dolls. Clues include missing blind cords and blood footprints only of the victims, with slashes forming coded patterns hinting at the final location. The dates, 31 of 7th, 4 of 8th, 13 of 8th, and doll countdown suggest a fourth murder on August 22nd, with 1 doll remaining, likely for B himself. When Naomi is investigating the crime scene, she meets a person who claims to be a detective as well, who goes by the name Ryu Ryuzaki. This man is said to have dark, messy hair, a white shirt, terrible posture, dark circles under his eyes, with odd habits like crouching and eating jam with razor-sharp detections. These traits might clearly tell you that this man is most likely L himself, coming out to do some in-person investigations. But no. This was no other than Beyond Birthday himself, coming out to challenge L by investigating with Naomi and to mock L in some way. His detections were accurate. He recognized pattern fairly easily. This created a little suspicion in the eyes of Naomi. On August 22nd, the date on which the fourth murder was supposed to happen, B doused in gasoline, ready to ignite himself with one straw voodoo doll nailed up. Believing his death will cement the case as unsolvable, he is intervened by Naomi Misora, extinguishing the fire and arresting him as the prime suspect of the case. Later, his identity is revealed to everyone, including L, who from the start knew that it was B who was committing these murders, as the complexity of the murders were beyond what a normal serial killer could imagine. B's plan to be the greatest criminal fails, but his image creates a haunting impact on Los Angeles. The case profoundly impacts L, who adopts Ryuzaki as his alias in the Kira investigation. Naomi leaves her job a while after this case to start a family with no other than Ray Penber. B survives his suicide and is imprisoned, but 2 years later, on January 21, 2004, he mysteriously dies in a California's prison of a heart attack.